Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. My name is Ash, aka Ghostbuster, and today I'm joined by fellow XBL Party Podcast UK host Redders, and we are going to be doing a review of the brand new Saints Row game on Xbox. This was released onto the store on the 23rd of August 2022. It's developed and published by Deep Silver and Volition, I believe is how you pronounce it.
Yeah.
And they were kind enough to send us a copy for review, so big thank you to them for that. Now, you've played a lot more of this than me, Redders, so
Yeah.
do you want to just sort of give us your sort of feedback, and then I'll sort of explain from my side?
So, oh my god, where do I start with this one? I love the Saints Row series. I love open world games, and I was really excited for this game because I saw the trailers and I thought this actually looks like a lot of fun. Um, After playing it, I mean, I was lucky enough to complete it, I believe, like 2 hours before we did this review. So I
It's
have pretty
fresh.
much done all that is to do in the game now. So I will sit here and say that it is. Well, I enjoyed it, but it's very average. Like, very average. I think they played it really safe, and I don't want to sit here and just say, my god, the game is awful, because it's not. It does have some decent elements to it, but it's very safe.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I am not as near as far as you. I'm still playing through it. I'm still enjoying it. I was going to do this as more of my first impressions, and that I will probably end up doing a written review on the website at a later date anyway, once I've like 100%ed it, because there's a lot to do. But
Mm.
I am a huge Saints Row fan. Like 1, 2, 3 in particular. 3 is the pinnacle in my opinion. I wasn't a
I
big
agree.
fan of 4 and the Hell mini game, like the spin-off. I enjoy it, but it was just that. It was just sort of like a little filler sort of thing.
Yeah.
But this one, like I say, it reeks of Saints Row, but then it also doesn't at the same time. And like I say, they've definitely sort of toned back the craziness of
Yeah.
that it got to, like with the aliens and everything in number 4.
Me,
They've
it
definitely
feels like Saints Row if Saints Row was purchased off Wish.
it's like
It's
that
like that.
AI that thing online, that DALL-E AI has created a Saints Row based off videos.
Yeah.
Because like I say, it looks like Saints Row. Like it plays, the majority of it seems to like be structured like the old Saints Rows, but there's
Mm.
just little tweaks, and I don't know why. Like I'm saying to you previously, like the driving just feels a little off.
Yeah.
I know they've put in the new drift mechanic to make it more drifty, which I don't
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah. I
but
actually quite like that.
the
Yeah,
the the
I don't have the
whole
trouble with the vehicles like you do.
the
I can throw the
collision with
cars around and stuff.
vehicles doesn't feel the same as in previous games.
Yeah,
It just feels weird. Then
yeah,
there's the aiming of the guns feels off compared to how it used to be, and I mean
mm,
it's dealable. Like I say, it doesn't spoil the game, but it's definitely, it feels like a down step compared to what Saints Row was like
yeah,
previously.
absolutely. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I feel like they needed to make another Saints Row game. They didn't know what to do after Saints Row 4 because of what happens in that game. And we're now in a climate where everybody gets easily offended and they were afraid to take any chances. I mean, when I think of Saints Row, I think of like the over the top, because Saints Row to me was always like GTA, but on a much more over the top level. You know, you run around with a dildo bat, for instance, and
And there was that whole thing with the like the gimps in chariots and stuff like
yeah,
that. Yeah,
it
I
was,
agree. It was stupid, over the top
yeah. And now it
madness.
feels like they've substituted a lot of that humor that can easily offend people for just lots of f bombs
Yeah, there's a
and
lot of swearing in this game
swearing.
compared. Now, I didn't. When I originally spoke to you when we first started playing, you weren't super
Mm.
keen on the dialogue. Now,
Yeah,
me
the voice acting's
particularly,
awful.
I don't mind it. I don't think Saints Row dialogue was ever that great. But
Mm.
I agree, there's a lot more sort of like edgy swearing in it than there used to
Yeah,
be.
I feel like that's there to substitute the fact that they don't have, you know, the
Yeah,
dildo anymore, and because like it was really over the top. I mean, that's the thing that people really loved about it.
yeah, that's when Saints
And
Row was at its best.
yeah, and this feels like a watered down version for the easily
Modern,
offended
yeah.
generation. Do you know what I mean? and
And I
that's
feel
the
like
problem I have
games
with
don't
it.
need to do that nowadays. I mean, if you play Hell Pie, which is a platformer I recently played, there is a review on the channel, on the website, should I say. That is crude, dark humor, but it's still a platformer, and it's just fun
Yeah,
because they haven't held back as such too much. Whereas this one,
I read.
it does feel like they've just sort of they've neutered it.
Yeah, and I was reading something online earlier that actually sums it up pretty well. In that the old Saints would bully the new Saints, and
Yes,
I genuinely, I
yeah,
genuinely get that impression. Like they're so watered down, they're so just
yeah,
over, not even over the top, but like try hardy, edgy, rather than over the top and violent, like
yeah.
the old Saints Row games.
Now, I don't.
And
I
yeah,
feel like
it's a
we're
shame.
shitting on this game really bad, but there are lots of positives to it as well.
Yeah,
It is a fun game to play. Like I say, you're gonna have fun no matter what
no,
playing
I
through
really
it.
like the setting. The setting was great. I
Yes,
thought that
the
whole,
environments, the settings. It's like a knockoff Las Vegas, isn't it? With
yeah, and
like
I
a
really like
city and
that.
then the desert. I love that. I like some of the missions and stuff. The way it's structured.
Mm.
I like some of the new sort of side things to do. They're quite cool,
Yeah,
although some of them have been added
you
and are
say
a
that
bit
now, but wait
pointless.
until you get into it.
Yeah, but like
It-
I like the dumpster diving. I think that's a cool little feature,
yeah.
like just to hide, to look into like dumpsters and find things. And I like the history bit as well, the one where you look around for like the history and you press the
Oh
buttons on
yeah,
things
yeah.
and it tells you. I think it's a
Did
cool
you
way to build a
know?
bit of
Up there.
backstory and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, there are some really cool elements to it that I really did enjoy. But I don't
Yeah,
know if it's because it was a Saints Row game or if that's just something that I enjoyed doing. But there is a ridiculous amount of collectibles in this game.
yeah,
Um, and not just your standard collectibles either. You got like your photo ops, you've got your
drug
collect
stashes.
all, yeah, your drug stashes. I mean, there's a good 500, 600 collectibles in this game. So if you're like me and you suffer from too many Assassin's Creeds with ridiculous amounts of game bloat, then you're probably not going to like this game
There's plenty
on
to
a
do in it.
collectibles standpoint. Yeah, there is plenty to do in it. But like, yeah, there is some good elements about it. It does like fundamentally feel like a Saints Row game, but there is a lot of questionable design choices where it's like, this isn't Saints Row. This I can see why people are angry at it.
Yeah, I don't know what it's a tough one because, like I say, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I'm enjoying
Mm,
it. I don't think the story is as strong as some of the past games. I especially like the way you start out is a bit rushed and a bit, oh,
yeah,
what's happening here? This you're not really like a gang when you start, which is what Saints Row is all about and stuff.
yeah,
It's a bit, and it takes a while to get going in that sense. It's just like,
mm,
oh, I'm going to work today to do a random job where I'm like a mercenary, and you're like, all right, that makes no sense, but hey, here we are
yeah.
anyway. So
One of my one of my favorite elements is actually a little nod to Red Faction because Volition made Red Faction
yeah,
with the original game. There's like a cafe in um, Saints Row that has one of those did you know missions there, one of those like collectible ones.
yeah.
It's actually tied to a coffee shop called the Red Faction, and
Oh,
they're
that's
about to have an
cool.
uprising and shit. So that's actually a really nice little nod to it. I was quite pleasantly surprised by that. But um, yeah, like the strongest bit about the game for me is the setting for sure. I think
Yeah,
the
it's a
cities
very
were really
unique
cool.
setting. You still keep that sort of city, but it gets rid
Mm,
of the generic bog standard sort of grungy city that's we've come
yeah,
to expect.
yeah.
There's like I say, you can drive out. It very much reminds me of like a modern San Andreas where there's a lot
I,
of open space.
I tell you
And
what, it really reminded me of Watch Dogs 2.
yes,
Just the way it plays and the city, it reminds me of Watch Dogs 2.
yeah, I agree with you
Um,
there. But it's a
without the
nice
hacking.
change for Saints Row, and it can and I was wondering like, oh god, there's not a lot of buildings and stuff when you look at the trailers and stuff. It's just going to be like desert towns, but it's not like that at all. I feel like they've
Mm,
got a very bad marketing issue with this game as well.
yeah. And yeah, there is a lot of bugs and stuff with the game as well. I've encountered probably every bug there is to have in that game.
Yeah, I mean,
From randomly running around with dual wield guns. Even when you're firing different guns, you still see the same dual wield guns on screen. I've had missions bug out on me. I've had the game randomly crash.
I've not had any
There's been a
crashes, thankfully, but I have had a lot of niggling bugs that have sort of pulled me out. Like in the first mission, halfway
yeah,
through, you start off in like the suit for that faction you're wearing, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
instantly I just suddenly was in my normal clothes, and it just was like, well, why is that? It's just bugged.
yeah,
There's times like when I was in character creation, and
yeah,
I was trying to put like pants on and stuff, and it kept removing them,
yeah,
but they were still selected, and I ended up getting a bit frustrated having to reselect them multiple times just to ensure that I was dressed correctly. And
yeah.
there's at times where there's dialogue on this, there's text on the screen, but there's no dialogue coming out. And
Mm,
like you've said, like, oh, I'd bump into a car and it would fly off and then just shoot across the screen. And it's
yeah,
funny. I've not had anything game breaking. It's just sort of
yeah.
niggling things. You're looking at one
I've
right
had
now on the screen, actually, of me, if anyone watching it, like it's just not shutting a door, and then there's someone's trying to pull me out of the car. It wouldn't do it, and then she punches me, and then I'm suddenly out of the car. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. I've
It's a
had
bit.
collectibles that wouldn't scan. I've had other collectibles that wouldn't, some of the drug packages that wouldn't pick up.
Mm. And
A
it's a
lot of
shame
these
because
have all been fixed by just exiting the game and loading it again. But the fact that they're there to begin with is not a good sign.
no, I feel like after a first patch, like I think they'll do a
Mm.
patch pretty soon. I'm pretty certain of it.
They
It's
did a
gonna
day
be.
one, didn't they? They did a 60 GB day one patch,
It's not
which
good enough
hasn't
though.
seemed to have addressed anything.
That could, yeah, but the thing is, with day one patches now, they've probably said gold, and the day one patch has just got it into the state it's in now.
Yeah.
So I'd like to
Have you
see
had
them fix
any
the bugs.
random graphic glitches yet? I get
Nothing
them quite a
terrible.
lot.
I've had a few pop-ins, especially on
Mm.
the like the bigger bridges. I've
Yeah, vehicle
noticed like
pop is awful. They'll just randomly disappear in front of you and
I've not
reappear.
seen that yet, though I've not noticed it.
And the most prominent one for me seems to be at sunset. You'll get like random bits of the level that just don't load.
Mm,
So you get like a big line through the screen of like an area that hasn't loaded and stuff, or
yeah.
areas that load in too quickly. There is a lot of bugs with this game.
It's a shame
A
because, like I say,
lot
I
of them.
feel like if they patched the bugs out, it would be, yes, it wouldn't be as good an experience as Saints Row 3, but it
Mm.
would have been a perfectly fine experience. I think
Yeah.
my only complaints right now, because like I said, I'm not going to get Saints Row 3 again. I
Mm.
I think it's silly they've packaged that in with the ultimate like collection, the platinum version, because you're literally saying, look at the best of the series, then look at this. It's a
Yeah,
weird
yeah.
one.
I
I
haven't gone
mean,
back to the remaster yet, but I've read lots of really promising things about it, so
I've
I am
played
going
the
to do that.
remaster. I bought that actually physical. I've got it, and
All right.
it's
I think
an amazing remaster. But
if
it's a
none of the other
shame.
Saints Row games came before it, I think this would be a very solid entry into the
Yeah,
franchise. But the fact that you've got all these other Saints Rows that people love, and then you release this, it's like, well, this isn't Saints Row.
I
This
enjoyed this
doesn't
more
feel
than the
like Saints
time I
Row.
played 4, but I
Mm.
haven't played 4 in a long time, and I never really
See, I really liked 4.
I just didn't enjoy it. After 3, I played it. I got it with much anticipation and
Mm.
wasn't a fan. But
I didn't
I'm
like
gonna
Get
go
Out of
back
Hell
to
as
it.
much, but I really liked 4.
I went back to Get Out of Hell recently, and I
Mm.
enjoyed it quite a lot. But for just what it was, a fun little silly game. Not really
Yeah.
Saints Row, because you never even get in cars half the time. You're just flying around after a while.
Saints Row
But
4 kind of felt like the right move because like they were pretty much on top of the world, weren't they, when Saints
yeah,
Row 4 happened? So the fact that you're this like superhero in a simulation that's been abducted by aliens, I just thought it was perfect. But I would have liked to have gone back to that same crew, but in a remade world after the events of 4, rather than just, fuck all this, let's just have a whole new Saints Row game.
yeah, it's an odd one, but
Very
overall, like I
jarring.
say, I'd give it like at the moment I'm on like a 7 out of 10
Mm,
because I am enjoying it. The open world is nice. There's a plenty to do, maybe a little too much, but it's just let down by the bugs. And I feel like if the
mm,
bugs were fixed, and I think some of the issues with the controls and the guns are probably just glitches, in my
mm.
opinion.
My biggest issue with the controls is the random acceleration you'll get from aiming the guns. Like you'll
Yes.
be aiming and all of a sudden the gun will just ping off like in a really weird,
And sometimes it
way.
doesn't auto aim, like you can aim and it zooms in a little bit towards your
Yeah.
enemies, and then
And it
sometimes it
gets
just
really
doesn't.
that gets really frustrating on areas where you got to get triple kills and double kills because you can't always aim on
Yeah.
the target straight away. So you do get that does get quite frustrating. But I don't hate the game by no means. I would give it a solid 6.5, maybe a 7 out of 10. I
Yeah.
just think there's a lot of rough edges that need ironing out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Um,
at a 7 at the moment, but
mm,
that is I'm not as far as you. I haven't grinded all of the extra bits yet. So I'll come back to it and I'll do like
I'm
a
a no
written
lifer.
review on the website when I have done that.
Yeah.
But I say, fingers crossed, like with a few patches and some DLC. Maybe the DLC will start adding in more of the silly stuff. You know,
Are
like,
we actually getting DLC for
yeah,
it?
this
We
this
are. Oh,
because
okay.
that's what you get it with the there's the different editions. So the
Yeah, I got
game,
the Platinum Edition, but I just kind of assumed that because 4's thrown in with that in it, or 3's thrown in with that.
I'll go through them now. So the game is playable on Xbox One and Xbox Series X and S. It does
Mm.
support smarter delivery, and it is optimized for Xbox Series X and S with HDR10 and 4K resolution. Now, the
Mm.
standard version is priced at $59.99, and that is just the standard game. You then have the Gold Edition, which is $84.99. Now, the Gold Edition includes the expansion pass, which will be available separately in the future. But this includes
Nice.
3 expansion episodes. And it says with each expansion, new areas of the game world are opened up.
That's cool.
So, yeah, there's going to be maybe new areas, new content to do, and stuff like that. New enemies, new missions, new diversions, new weaponry, new vehicles, and customization options. So, you get
That's,
that.
that's something
Um,
else I've just remembered. The weapons in this game are really poor. There's not a
yeah,
whole lot of options. What you start off with in the beginning is pretty much what you've got all the way through the game. You get
yeah.
like 1 or 2 additionals, but it seems like a lot of the emphasis is on having a set bunch of weapons that you can reskin to look like other weapons.
Yeah, there's a lot of more
Um,
customization in your weapons this time. Instead of just
yeah.
in the old ones, you didn't customize the weapons, you just upgraded them.
Oh, fuck, man! Like the dubstep gun was the best bit of Saints Row 3. I absolutely
I
loved
used to
that
like,
gun.
is it the
There's
shark gun
nothing
or the
like that.
octopus gun? That was funny.
There's nothing like that in the game now,
No.
which is a shame. I feel like they've really missed a trick there.
Yeah, so you get that included with the gold edition, as well as a little DLC pack with a weapon and a bike. And
Mm,
then in the platinum edition, it's all of the same, but you also get the Saints Row the Third remastered version digitally as well.
right.
So if you want to spend that money, if you're going to get the gold edition, I highly recommend getting the platinum instead. If you don't
Mm.
already own Saints Row the Third, because it's £10 more and you're getting a £30 technically remaster included.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. And if you go on ENEBA using our link, you can actually get it cheaper still. I mean, I
Yeah,
think I paid 50 quid for it for the
yeah. So
platinum edition.
there's no matter where you are in the world with ENEBA, you can get codes for worldwide or linked to your personal area.
Mm,
But if you use the link down in the description, you can also get Xbox like Xbox Live, Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, all that sort of stuff. And any purchase really helps us grow the
mm,
channel.
yeah.
But overall, like I say, Saints Row, it was a lot of hype for me. It's been of my most anticipated games in the last sort of
Yeah,
half of the
same.
year.
Same.
And while I am disappointed by it, it's still really fun. But I think there's been a lot more hate online just to jump on the bandwagon. I mean, yes, it's buggy. Yes, it's not as good as Saints Row 3, but it's not a terrible game. It's still playable. It's still enjoyable. It's just there's a lot of people that are hitting on it online that I bet haven't even played it. They're just jumping on the bandwagon. So play it for yourself. If you are a fan of Saints Row, you'll probably enjoy it. It is like a slightly watered down version of Saints Row, like we've said. Um, but for me, like I say, it's still a fun game that I am enjoying, and I don't play a lot of open world sort of games like this anymore. So it is nice to jump into them now and again.
Yeah, I agree. And the open world's my favorite sort of game, so I was super hyped for this game. And I love Saints Row anyway. But yeah, it's a shame, but it's enjoyable. But it's not Saints Row for me.
Fingers crossed we get some crossover DLC in the
Yeah,
expansion. Bring all the classic guys back. That's what I
I want
want.
to see all the old Saints Row come in and just murder the new Saints Row.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, hit that like button, hit subscribe, and we will see you soon for more gaming news and reviews, guys. Bye for
All the
now.
best.